My name is Katie MacIntyre, and I'm your host for the Loving Cup, Elevate Your Gratitude podcast. Today is December 5th, and I'm live from the FingerLakes1.com studios in Seneca Falls, New York. So I started this podcast because I'm really interested in the power of gratitude. And I have a bachelor degree in psychology, but I didn't study psychology around gratitude. It really hadn't started being studied until 2000, and I had finished my degree by then. So one of the people that I've mentioned in podcasts in the past is a gentleman named Robert Emmons, and I wanted to share another take on a definition of gratitude from him before we kick it off today. So gratitude has been conceptualized as an emotion, a virtue, a moral sentiment, a motive, a coping response, a skill, and an attitude. It is all of these and more. Minimally, gratitude is an emotional response to a gift. It is the appreciation felt after one has been the beneficiary of an altruistic act. And as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, cultivate the habit of being grateful for every good thing that comes to you and give thanks continuously. And because all things have contributed to your advancement, you should include all things in your gratitude. So with that, I would like to welcome my guest today, Karen Beals and her mom, Liza Merriam. Ladies, welcome, and thanks for joining us.
It's nice to be here.
So I like to start with having my guests introduce each other. So Liza, would you introduce Karen to us?
Yes, I'm Liza Merriam, and this is my daughter, Karen Beals. She is the third of my three children, and she and the other two are just great people in my life. She has always been active since a child. A small child. In fact, she climbed up on the piano many times. She climbed up on the cupboard in the kitchen and reached in the top cupboards and pulled out dishes and things. She did not always share toys with her brother and sister, but she continued to be active through her years at Minders Academy and at Guilford College in North Carolina, where she graduated from Guilford College. She was always grateful for what she had, for her friends, for what she had to live in, and a family who cared, who taught her many things, and the way they lived. So this is Karen.
Wonderful. And Karen, would you introduce us to your mom?
Absolutely. I'm honored to introduce my mom to all of you. And she's an amazing person, but I think you'll get the sense of that as we continue our conversation. So I thought I'd share some other little tidbits with you. And like the fact she was born in 1926 in Jerusalem, New York, and she was the younger twin, and her older twin lives in Rochester. She worked at Gould's Pumps, where she met my dad, and in 1965 became executive director of the American Red Cross for Seneca County. And she served in that position for 22 years. And while she did all of that, she was very active in a lot of other organizations and churches in the community. And her life's passion has always been, and she's made it very clear to all, that her family is her passion and serving others. So this topic is very fitting to my mom. And I have to share one of the most telling facts of how generous she is in sharing is that for 13 years she lived with my husband and I, and we all survived. So I think that tells a lot. I really do.
Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm sure our viewers are going to get to know both of you a little bit more too through our conversation. So I want to talk a little bit about things that you're grateful for in your own life. So just in general, if you could talk a little bit about your life and things that you're grateful for.
For me, I'm grateful for my family, as Karen said. That's the thing I'm most grateful for. The fact that I had three, and that their father was such a wonderful person. He was affected by polio at the age of 3, yet he worked all his life in 60 years of his 63. so many things I have. Everything in my life I'm grateful for. And it's difficult for me to say what's most, and of course, as Karen said, family has always been what I'm most grateful for.
And you have many generations of family around you. So you have grandchildren and great-grandchildren too, right? So how many of each of those?
I have 3 children. I have 5 grandchildren. I have 6 great-grandchildren. And I have many stepchildren and grandchildren. And I'm grateful for all of them, each and every one.
Wonderful. How about for you, Karen?
How do I expound upon that? It's exactly the same. My family, all of my family, an extended family and friends in the community have been a part of making me who I am today, someone that I am comfortable with, always learning and always growing, but gratitude is just a part of our day of life. And I loved Emerson's quote where he corrected himself, because at the beginning he said to be grateful for the good things that have happened to you, and then encompasses all those things, as Mom said, all of the trials that we might have had make us who we are today, and so I'm grateful for those also. I'm grateful that some things didn't happen that I was afraid might happen, but
sure. So, is there one thing when you think about the other that you're most grateful for? Most grateful for in your mom, Karen, and the thing that you're most grateful for with Karen? It's
very difficult because I'm grateful from the day she was born. It was not supposed to happen, and it did. So I have been so grateful for her and the grateful things that she has done all her life for our family, for the community, and for everything she has lived for. She's just done so much in this community and for the church and her husband's church. She loves her community, and she's just a great girl. And not just because I'm her mother, she has done great things.
Yeah, and many people feel the impact of Karen in this community for sure. How about for you, Karen?
Trying to pinpoint that is difficult. I was thinking about this beforehand, and there are several things that come to mind and with my mom, and one of the top ones is her unconditional love, the support she's given all of us, and her allowing us to fail as we were growing, and as adults too, and learning to live with the consequences of those decisions that we make. I think that was really, really important. But I have to say, one of the things I treasure the most is the faith that she instilled in us. Our faith in God, our faith in each other, and our faith in ourselves. And that's the top of the list, I would have to say, is the faith that she instills in us and in others.
It's beautiful. So before today, did you think much about gratitude?
Yes. Just everything. And that I don't mean it that way, and yet I do. For my life, for what's happened in my life, good and bad. It's made all of us better people, which is truth. Bad things make better. And that's the way it has turned out. I'm so grateful for that. I was so happy living in Seneca Falls, but now I'm living in a senior living place in Clifton Springs, and now I have over 100 new friends and
Wonderful.
Happiness. We are all smiling. That's what makes happiness. So I'm very grateful for that. Just everything. My family and my extended family, and where I live and where I lived, and my childhood, which was not easy during Depression and during the war. We had to go without many things, but we learned to do the best with what we had and be grateful for what we had. So my parents taught me, and I tried to teach that to my family. That's what gratitude is to me.
I love it. And so you're a twin?
Pardon?
You're a twin? You have a twin?
Yes, I do.
A brother or a sister?
Sister.
A sister. And are you
identical?
You are identical.
Still at 91. We are pretty identical.
Beautiful.
There are some things that are not, but mostly we are very identical.
And what is her name?
Her name is Lena. We are named after our grandmothers. She's named after my mother's mother, and I'm named after my father's mother. So we're grateful for that also.
I love that.
I do too. They had difficulty deciding just what to name us. After 6 months, they finally came up. I don't know whether someone suggested it, but we finally had names on our birth certificates.
Wonderful. So I'm a twin also.
Really?
I am. I have a twin brother.
Oh.
And so we're not identical, although
Right.
I've been asked that before, which is a funny question. But his name is Paul. He lives in New Hampshire, and that's where I grew up. But
wonderful.
Twins are special. So
New Hampshire's very great too.
It is.
Yes, it is.
It is. So that's super. And I loved learning about how your names came to be. That's a really neat story. So you mentioned something kind of like this, Karen, about sometimes the hard things in life. So is there something that you're grateful for now that at the time you were not grateful for?
Well, it might sound kind of silly, but my husband, Stephen, would probably tell you that it was during the process of delivering both of my kids that I wasn't very grateful. But I certainly am now. They were well worth anything going through in that delivery process. But at that moment, I wasn't very grateful, I have to admit.
Just like every mother for a few minutes.
That's super. Well, hopefully, I think one of your daughters is watching. So
They both will be.
Okay, good. And so with that, is there something else that comes to mind for you, Liza, with something that at the time you didn't feel grateful for it, but you're grateful for it now?
I've had 23 surgeries, and at that time I wasn't very grateful, only that this was going to turn out okay, and they did. And so I'm very grateful for that in the past, and now I'm grateful that for 91 years I have been allowed to enjoy the good things in life, and especially, as we keep saying, our family. That's the most important, including my extended family, my brothers and sisters, children. That we have had reunions for many years. What is it, 50 some years, and that's great. We're all together.
That's wonderful. And are they all across the world?
Yes, Karen's daughter lives in Italy. So they're all across the world.
So that's great to get everyone back together.
Yes, it is.
So are you doing that again soon?
I hope so. This summer. We do it in the summer.
Okay.
Yes.
And you'll be 92 then, so.
Right, yes.
That's super. So did you take time to actively teach gratitude to your kids? You mentioned a little bit that you made sure you passed values on from generation to generation, but were there things that you did to teach?
I don't know individual things that we did except to explain to them that, yes, they did not have what other people did, to be grateful for. They have a good house, they have good parents who love them, they have less toys, but look what they do have, and to teach them that way. And in the family, day by day, love and gratefulness and many things like that, and we live that way. So more than just individually explain it to them, we did it. And they did it.
And Karen, do you teach your grandchildren, or did you teach your children about gratitude?
Yes. And, the standard please and thank yous kinds of things but very much like my parents, Stephen and I have tried to be the role model and teaching by example, to show them that life is a treasure and everything about it is a treasure, and every living thing is a gift to each of us, and that we should be thankful for and respect and honor everything, and whether it's a tree or whether it's the person, your mom, or the person across the street that you don't know, that you love them and treasure them.
I love that. So it's the holiday time, and so there's something that we do at my house. We have a gratitude jar. So it's just a tall canning jar, and we put it on our mantle, and we've done this for many, many years, but I stuff it with slips of paper in the beginning of the year, and then we fill the jar with things that we're grateful for, or we sometimes fit memories of things in there, if it's a ticket to a play or something too. So that's something that we do, and then we open it up at the end of the year. So that's our gratitude jar. I was curious if there are things that you have in your family, traditions around the holidays that you want to talk about.
I have to include Thanksgiving because that was when we sat around the table and each of us mentioned one of the things that has happened that year that they're most grateful for, and that started the holiday season. And of course on through Christmas, and we gave to each other, and we were grateful for what we received, and to be grateful for life, as Karen said, and for everything around us. We always was trying to be thankful, and we were, and they still are. We still are.
So did you get to do that at Thanksgiving this year, to share what you were thankful for?
Yes, many of us did, and we did do that, of course. What we are most thankful for, not just at the moment, but all year and years.
Wonderful. And for you, Karen?
I don't know that we had a specific tradition during the holidays other than focusing on the giving portion and being grateful at Thanksgiving. And we continued that on through another generation. But we shared the gifts that we had, whether it was singing, whether it was sharing our faith, or whatever we might have to give, even if it's a smile, ringing the bells for Salvation Army, whatever. The importance was giving. And again, I go back to the role models that my parents were. If I can reflect back on a couple of those instances, my dad was a car dealer, and one Christmas Eve, after we'd been to church, he had all of us as a family help deliver a car to a family that was presenting a brand new car to another family member. So it was snowing out that night, and one of us drove the new car, and one of us drove the car to bring us all back home, and we put the big, huge red ribbon on the top, and we were Santa's elves, and it just felt so wonderful. I mean, the focus was on doing something for someone else. And then another time, because of Mom's job with the Red Cross, there were many emergencies that we were able to help with. And one Christmas Eve day, a family had a fire, and Mom was on the phone with Santa Claus and with everyone you can think of to try to help this family, getting housing for them, getting clothing for them. But then she went the extra mile, and I remember very vividly, you're calling a store downtown that the building's not even there anymore, and saying, I know it's closing time, but we have a family in need. And the two of us went down, and we got a Christmas tree and decorations, lights and ornaments. We probably picked up a few gifts here and there too, some toys, and we delivered them to this family. And the joy, I remember that to this day.
Totally
and
brought tears to my eyes.
It just still gets to me to be able to do that, and the family was just so pleased. Here they lost absolutely everything. They had nothing, and we gave them just a little bit of something, and the store owner gave up time with his family to stay open for us to come. And it's those kinds of things that that have stayed with me. So
I love that. So how old were you at the time?
I probably was a young teen, because I think Jean and Rick were out of the house. So, but I wasn't, maybe 12.
I think we're home for Christmas.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so many
12.
years later,
yeah.
that story
yeah,
is
so
still
many as
so
I'm
powerful.
hitting that 65 level again.
I didn't mean it like that. But I bet that family probably shares that story,
of course,
with each other and with others too, because what a beautiful act. That's awesome.
I have not included how grateful I am that I worked for Red Cross for 22 years and the things that we could do for others. And that was gratitude giving and giving them something to be grateful for. And I'm very grateful that I had those 22 years to do that.
And impact so many individuals and families.
Yes, yes.
And really like a superhero. You were coming in at a time when they were very vulnerable and needed help, and what amazing things you did for those people.
Well, it was part of my life, and I still remember it. I have dreams about it, helping the servicemen and helping so many people in need, and hopefully made their lives better.
Oh, I'm certain that you have. And what beautiful dreams to have.
Yes,
that's great.
Yes, it's so true.
I love it. It's beautiful. So I wanted to ask, we've talked about family and being grateful for family, and life is not easy. It's a beautiful thing and it's a treasure, but sometimes it's hard. But our family, they support us and they laugh with us and they love us, and they love us even at times when we don't perhaps love ourselves. But you both have spent so much time together in your lives, and I wanted to ask you if there was one moment that just that sticks out, a favorite memory of time spent together, and just something fabulous that you'll never forget.
I can't think of any one thing that she has done, because it's often, because she lives close by, she's with me constantly. One day recently, she spent 3 whole days here with me when I had problems. And my other 2 children live in other states, so they do what they can, but she does everything that she can, like bringing me here, and I appreciate that. And how can I choose one thing?
I can't. I think I did with that one Christmas story, but there were so many more. I remember working with you with Red Cross when the floods happened in the early 70s, and we were afraid that Auburn was going to have to be evacuated. And they turned to Seneca County Red Cross to help out, and we lined everything up. She lined and with all our volunteers, but I was able to be a part in the background of setting up an evacuation center here in Seneca County, and just in case that happened. And it came within 1/16 of an inch, or pretty close to that, that they were going to have to evacuate. So, and that's a large population to have to distribute around in a rural area.
But added to that, I will add Karen to it, because for months afterwards, the people in that area after the flood, it just took months and months and years probably to get everything back in shape and what they had. And she and Stephen, were you married then?
No.
They weren't even married yet, went to Elmira, and they helped the little old lady clear out her basement. And I just thought it was wonderful for young people to go down and help, and what it must have meant to that little old lady to have her in response. She gave them a beautiful Christmas crush with a little wooden building and all the things that went with it, and she still uses it. So that's her gratitude for being able to do for someone else, and to think that she did it, and all the people who did it from here. And we're quite a distance. We had 3 18-wheel truckloads of things that we took down, and a couple of teachers here went down and cleaned all of the equipment, the refrigerators and the stoves, so everything went down was perfectly clean. I'm such gratitude for the hundreds of volunteers I had and all that they did, collecting blood and teaching. I just have a lot of gratitude up to here.
I love it. I love it.
And I love seeing her with her grandkids and her great-grandkids. That just is touching.
And so what do they call you? Your grandkids. Do they have a special name for you? Do they call you Grandma?
Grammy.
Grammy.
Grammy. I'm Grammy to all my family.
Okay.
And my great-grandchildren.
So do they call you Great Grammy, or they call you Grammy too?
They call me Grammy.
Okay.
I'm just Grammy to everybody.
Yeah. And our girls grew up here with Mom, and so all of their friends.
Everyone calls you Grammy?
She's Grammy. She's not Mrs. Merriam. She's Grammy.
I love it. I love it. So is there anything else that you would like to share?
Your gratitude jar, if I can, I'll let you think, Mom, because I had this. Your gratitude jar reminded me of something. It is a tradition that our family started a long time ago, a little bit differently though. We realized that we were trying to help each other be humorous, only we were doing it in a negative way. And so we started a jar, and we would put a quarter in every time we used some of that negative humor. So, you know, somebody drops something on the floor and you make it into a funny kind of thing. And as we went through that process, we realized how hurtful negative humor can be. And that jar filled up really, really fast, and we were able to go out to dinner. But to this day, we still catch ourselves. And sometimes somebody says something that's worth $1. But while it was focusing on the negative, it made us realize the positives in each other, and it made us realize how much we treasured each other and loved each other, and that we didn't want to do anything that would be harmful. So it's a different take of your gratitude jar, but a way that we learned gratitude and to do things more positively.
And that we can, like you said, you're a lifelong learner, and
yes.
We can always strive for improvements and making things.
Even at 91.
It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So that does bring us to the end of our time together. So I'm grateful for both of you, Karen and Liza, for coming in and being guests today. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
And to our viewers, I just want to say have a beautiful day and savor the blessings that you have in your life and share your gratitude. So we'll be back next week with another 2 guests with us here in the studio. So thank you for tuning in to The Loving Cup, Elevate Your Gratitude. Have a blessed day.